You're listening to the Politics on the Navajo Nation. Welcome back. This is starting to get really exciting. We've got all sorts of candidates calling us, reaching out. They're trying to schedule themselves, and we really do appreciate them. And so today we are have another guest. But first, you're listening to Politics on the Navajo Nation. And these podcasts, I'm your host, Cal Nez. She tkachi shiro tkani but shin aro na kaiden na ein shiro or a that she aro a bit on a dashanala. What on nan shiro setlan stiro tosito to holia in Le Shibrock South, 22 miles. It's a aro na sha aro shachin hullo taneya aro sitsokia do shinalikia e da hullo a hut o e de nan shri ko koroshi e these interviews jo I think some candidates think that when they get elected the responsibility is only going to involve their chapters. No, it's going to go beyond that. This interview is not about what you're going to do for your chapter. That's your deal, but you're welcome to talk, to bring up those things that you want to do. That's great. But this is about your governance. How are you going to legislate? How are you going to be a member of the 26th Navajo Nation Council? Joy Ade in the chapter do e aro don le tsagaho zanda. Joy Ade hot o 26 go or 24. When I come up 26, 24 Navajo Nation Council. Ishi Ade atla natle. Ako Ade e do 80 chapter e ba ata banda da ziz tanda. Ako e de shisazini. Aro ada da isano tsai. E shi e pa ni he hut o e na ha atanot do le. So hut o e that's what happens is that you're gonna be our boss. No, I'm gonna be your boss. You're gonna work for me. You're gonna work for the Navajo Nation general public. So these questions are very general. They're basic information that I think, but topics that are important enough for the candidates for them to understand, because these are serious issues that have been going on for years. Akoe Kuroe, today our guest is Ms. EULA YAZZIE, and she is running for, let me put her banner up. She's running for the following chapter. Delcon isosakada. It's all yet iso. Tisto. White Cone. Yellow Mountain. Indian Wells. Ako yat aron several years ago when I was doing all the posters for the Navajo Nation Council. No, so it's good to see you again, EULA. Go ahead and introduce yourself, where you're from, and give us your business, political, governmental experience. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just want to thank you, Mr. Naz, for allowing myself and others to present our platforms and our experience. I appreciate it because a lot of people we don't know that runs for our government, and then now we know what happens. So yeah, Shanale, she ya, Yula Yazi, and she nawe big about okay today. Oh, yaho is all that all ya ade Cottonwood Springs. Kidan shin ade or ati tohalinde o So that's the name of the place that I'm from, and it's also the home of the Team Roping Champions. I wanted to put that out there. My siblings and then my Yaj, are champions from there. So is a son in Enschle do my ideshkini Bashis Chin do Kia Ani Edashe do not of net Kachini Edashinale Okoshinale and Lila Oko. Good to see you again. Okoko Kodo Edashnet Oli Jo chapter ba not ani je ajishich gi edal kan do torch the holia ado tisto end etkin ado white cone a big about gate holia ado the mountain ejt ado Indian Wells etko hardly holia so with 5 chapters up ben yeshich kot koto ben interview no HOA shitodini the coco she shahas king halla ado the bay what the ayan kevit and halchine na ki Natasha and Jamal adon shitsoke elo ekegi tra nana chiki do asa nana great grannies. I have 4. What I couldn't hear class 40 almost 46 years that's it. Been with the same guy. So anyways, I just want a little bit about my history. Shamasana Doshiche ahomade ba'achayam because they were elders. Shamasana lived to be 104. Krishna Khayda Enitza Adoshiche Lotnazatin Benachigo. And we never put them in a nursing home. Okoko family members, Shumayajan Lo Eya Khalian, but I Nashish. I just want to show you that, I have, those are my precious ancestors. Kaibinina and Hidok, do come a Himadoni Jabita Yinita, a cocket ayan Kishna Hashish, do nek asu inaniki the bedo shi bekashi to ben here the whole wede ko John lede relocation Navajo relocation or yake what ben be beyond any kai ado stamp hold to say about and out I can't wait to hard to that kaida Okoko good she's we live on ranching all our lives. My brothers and sisters and my other sisters there's do shade ado shitseledo halchindan lini at the ahondabogan Okoko when relocation happened relocation it beyond any condition ko ita jo khathalin long ita an hidini ado government igi ado don't trust the government because no jo bednal sauce ata the need sauce yana needs abeda is alto ko do binash stado dali da government igi nikis no binash ado padeliada so we still have sheep, even though, we're legislation, United States government legislation, we still have them. And hopefully, that's one of the issues that I have on my platform. So, but I've been here the whole, we're still there. Although, is ozate ho ledishnin go ade e tobe ni yada ho and we're still here. Ko e ya ba chodish although another notable history in my family is Shichinda Shimasangwa Ilkadajio e Navajo Nation Vice Chair. And Linda, I forget what year, but he was from a low mountain. Legit is other batch Kedahat and Ati. So I just wanted to let you know that there's a history within our family with the Navajo Nation government. Although, excuse me, stel de shish ki kut ben kitchen da shish ko anyway Indian Wells sto white conas kwa on that shit shik kedat I always say down the valley Indian Wells or White Cone down the valley to Indian Wells is the greatest country, one of the 8 wonders of the world. When I talk to people with Alban's case, I got my business administration from Northland Pioneer College. Although I served as a chapter secretary treasurer for 2 terms in White Cone. I went to Northern Arizona University. I was still in school when I was elected to the Navajo Nation Council in 1989, and I served 2 terms from 1990 to 2000. We had a turmoil. I went in there. So I know the back history of this 3-branch government. In other words, we were sort of like guinea pigs. 88 Council. You stui Betlanish Isla Ninda Kago. I made my mark on Navajo Nation Council. Although with my first term as council member, I served as a council member on budget and finance. Second term, I served as the vice chair to one of the distinguished member, Mark Maryboy, and then Adon the Navajo Hopi Land Commission, we were first group of people that went into this I was on the investment committee. Investment committee. Seems like that was like sort of the first time that happened. So trust funds, that was our fiscal responsibility. We created trust funds for the veterans, elders, though education that I always wonder how it's grown. That's that nesmat on some that would be something I like to look into. So I serve with some of the most distinguished Navajo leaders. Some have passed. We work with Mr. Peterson Law and Mr. Albert Hale, President Law. Injun gunda shilnish, ade injun go chinga deltio. So yat is tui not anin hatazlin. I always say that. Jokode lahote anals when it's better hasn't. Conjungo ya chinga deltio. And I'm not saying that we never have problems. We do have problems, but we always manage to get back on track. Jot ya now that's what the main issue is to this day. But because so the 88 council with ben shij akoko ita anta a three branch government with ako kadokol shisho. So it sa linki pinina 1989 turmoil pinina kwatsa ako nakaskushin dan linda to sa ati kon binet ati sa without the ila koko binasha three branch government has lean ako down just ko kadokol just o ni the governing body no sad at ibisa to sa onet lahada ako kodet o kodo pa sado na lo kot na haljish I'm just going back to the history back there ado hashin so ajib the committee members it's atas ita ito yon because there was 88 of us alle ban hat artskinto adni hut ben hashish ko oyo bahasa but down the line I have some I have hopefully I'll be able to do something on that end. So after I left the council, I went to work for Navajo Housing Authority for 22 years as a realty specialist and also housing director. Audrey Ahuan bida initiation on Shishla. Akoyego nantla to took this easy basa halong gehowan. Ako nagay Washington they had biyagon Washington de pesan needed agi biyagon hut pesa benan ko anant ako yego hashin so jo government hon ya ade pesan ni chidi ado ko de ta behas ani I kade la ade benda dolin shikde no hut edi based on lingi aji hut ago be ben del ni shahol jish ado not ani dan lingi to hut le denne hoan bestahalina dit to shavan tenda no and could they besh Washington be as ani be in shoko there's a lot of red tape up in that behas ani elbik that is giving kut nan jashin ko hot in the you have to have income non income that then but there's other issues like family don't we hashin based on that so gi sto big estki one day a couple of council delegates the never start now they come to the office Linda Nishita hashin so on heat it in hadon ben hayat kila one day I told one of the council delegate I said Dia Beshma Dia Kwabe on Nishiki Nikidet you're the one that's responsible for all those laws all these other be na Nishiki Nikita det in he and he ben olnin he could only I forget what year they just signed over a blank check to Navajo Housing Authority Anhi Ajabana Abede, no, today have a board. A court I about it. Pachinto stay seems like do eat that is ain't that. And it's really up to the council to make those changes. Hajota Kadrota just what I and the one that's all little a has a crap by a ski given the dish so. So it's really up to the Navajo Nation Council to loosen some of those policies that we have. Ako hatashi kita 1980 somewhere 86 ita that's Italian de it atila ato jo anda kansa akot ba konizi jo I was on the other side of the I was not a council then, so I really did learn a lot of stuff on housing programs, Coco. And then I got to be I was a housing certified manager for Center for Housing Management. It's a national center for housing management. Ade hut ina sos tlan si seni tras ni Coco. A Coco aja a committee between the she nish ano veterans do homeless ski and hut abelin daily shanashi. So I do, feel for these people that are homeless, and also they need to, encourage your council to look at the policies, although the regulations are debate on this. All you need to do is, read it. That some things that people never do is they never read materials. So that yeah, we did baby nanish. To this day, it's still out there. Other one thought dancing and this and then a cook at it's one that they literally that what I've known has come at the a cook somebody needs to pay attention to those regulations. A cook we can probably or that's how you look at it. It over this in so yeah it could all put a shaho given a share. With a yashina missionaries the door comes at the 8 at the I listen to the council sometimes if I have time. With a be nanish odds and homes at the air all just and hopefully somebody will pay attention to this with the coming council. So although what I want to do, what I see and what I witness as far as my platform, get your accessible the dash in English that no, or that's what I'm being advised. So accountability, that's my first one. What your what I mean by accountability is expectation from your constituency. That is your behavior. Do just sinigi. Ado like never can joke at a young his better husband the way not ani larger executive do could legislative do hindi inda. Sometimes that's just done through the lawyers. Should be up on this case. That's why I listed my platform as accountability. Hajoya sha do khutat edane johot answer to case. Khalid khalahot in sha jungo Kishin Kanakhe, a hot bend an the show. Shinen Hamdo Dash, Skoda Ishtragi, all the way to PhD, no. But there's things missing in that area. because that old iltra not social it or when you go to college or university ako long يصير من اشتغل لسه experience كي أدو ده كنت نبلش نشتغل ليش بس هو ده شغل ميلس هو إنلي the better one the door هو ما تنهي هذا هو أتدي نيشة عشان نيشة اللي بمدو بجاء تندال نشو أنلي ده هو من أنداز جاكو هم بيا ده هو إيش له شيء بس ده هو زنده كأجي إيش بانتس كيس كود أني تو يو هو لي chapter جدا كدو تو أده هاشين صاد نبلن شغل نشيلي بقدرش نتلاقى دات سبني نات أنس نتلاقى كأجي so I like to look at that and let it بإن نشكي هجرو أندولني there's ways to fix those things. Joe consultant no although there's consultants and then there's ways to improve the area of providing services to other only window rocked it you see no sure that's the reason why that accountability is very important to me. Of course, I usually attended not all of, but if I was available, I would go to the chapter meetings. Although not only and there's a lot of things that happen by working together. We did a lot of projects. There's judicial branch. Hashit kojit would never that's my interpretation of what I see. But nesh on konzata koljish. Hajolas edol ni hashit that's it Jogut ended bada no sto judicial check. Okut ended sto happens no alle nona kajla sto. Sha is nel danzo. There's that mentality. Hashint shishoholni, shishoholni to doshik eshdot lehta doesn't know that's in soya. Jogut it nenesh. Hajoya jodi beho kali that's maybe you need to amend some of those policies, the regulations that agi entitles to trouble code. If you're not maybe we need to have a session with everyone. Explain platform accountability is my most important thing on here. Although the federal government the state government I'm speaking from my own chapter and then the other chapters. They basically call what no. We had they always had an issue with our delegate, Sucha, Liniki Age or A with A Milan Spasilla. It takes about 2 good years to really learn the whole system of the Anjuna Gavoji. A good end that I can't speak for her as to why she didn't attend the meetings. Jo A could A Bilanshish, a coco, the A Hutza, or Jo A na Edna Yasa Hoso. Ebony now, I thought one of our chapter was taken out of our district, which was Greasewood. So in general, I thought Bikin Gate and Shinda. Uncle Ade, and I could Abin get a hot. Ishin up with a kid or either we didn't have representation done on she. They went to the agency meeting, and that's how that was approved for them. Okoko. Okodaza, Ebinina. Oko Agido, Asmaketa with Energy, a Kutuba needs on. Those things can happen. Okot A Bakoniti. Ado at Aya, a con. 1000 annelsko. Not any do reality that is. Joket joedo yashunda. Annelsko in bedhazen. A yeah. No, do after a quince no call any to the Zandahalo. But you need to change your behavior as well. Ishe Yisipinina. A yeah. To the legislative to executive branch. Kadut iya be nalnisho be ba dahnitzen ako hajodo le hashint bayatio kodoni. Maybe we need to change everything. We may need to, think about who you're voting for. Quite what happened. Prior crises, Mr. Hale, baby, no, she's store, Lino. It died at the end of Nildasto, English at the home late, and when the mother height Adia Nikaho, which we counsel him several times. So, Kala Hone Ado, Basahalon gave a husband of Gosto. Kala Hone let Edo Nila no Hutza out in Archie. Ado die Ethics and Rules Committee, Holland, no Article Bonsla. There were some demands that the council made on him. And that they shot no the Dalia Api. We didn't go to any courts or anything. So anything nakasila ako not ani ni klingi ita ako hut aban siskes ako tishnila to halit etito to kota chune to china da chikita on the way jet ako dahil no o bayasan jot an shingles. There's ways you can fix those things. It out about this. Ita hot in the Joita Nuguta 1989 Joita Shito to Hanslako. Ita Shake Ayanas Cassion. Joita to hot in a cook at Ades, Oyonikishan, Alkishan. Other second platform I have is the water. I know it's political year, but steam. There's pipelines coming in, but I dumping that. Other land purchases. Kaya in the house when I was in the council of Kokok at then there were several land purchases that were done. So we don't know who's using it, or we don't know how much we're getting, if we're getting any funds from that. Igisi ebin yahage AD relocation. Nele chedabit niskadi nikahas tuidon hizani halchine. Yana or I understand that they were being charged for so much rate, the money that was being charged. Oh, no, I want to have that audit or jale bayat or ebahazan kaya. I like to see where those lands are and what happened to them. Kujidne so bada no dayoki ado Hershey chulot iniki to understand. According to some of the issues that I've heard is near tribal employees, agriculture employees, so I mean that's just doesn't stand right with me, because I was one of those that the banda ikang ilang handa hasni ko ele khasik kito ele aya. Why are they where is it, who's using it? That's what I need to know. Land purchases you see we don't hear anything on it. Some of those things. Maybe it's maybe we go to the chapter or meetings at the wrong time, but I haven't heard anything. These Navajo Hopi relocation issues. One badahas there's ways you can work with your Congress but one yet atito hajon hat atleta so one issue that I did when I was there is never Hopi je so kill what do you call it, land chaos at so Washington I see just and then we found out that 40% could you never hope banded our funding. No, is 60%. That's almost over half. Budget ne windmill do ando da bash and and we were told that because they already had the regulations passed. We never fixed our grazing regulations. We kept going to Washington. We met with Hilda. I forget her first name. Her last name. Hilda Manuel, a secretary with Department of Interior. No, couldn't be ashamed from. Like I said, I work with some of these distinguished leaders. Could no, could you 40-60%, so it can happen only if you ask for it or if you have concerns on it. Then now let's like windmill, fixtures. Although they be office close a day what in the world is going on that you know? So bahasan go adestki. Mr. Trump what in conditions. Okot adi BIA we need to still hold him responsible. So aja biyas lot. Okot it all put Washington. I mean, I feel really sad about it because I don't know if anybody's even talking about it. Could you can big at this collie in the house, this water and land purchases. That's one of my goals is to hopefully fish some problems and make it better. That's what I'm saying. And we can only do our best. We can't promise anything that we don't have control over, but we can try. Another one is performance
the YAZZIE, your platform. We're almost about an hour now.
Okay, a couple more. Okay. Okay. 3, that was 2. Other 3 performance measurement customer service and all that stuff with the whole level nation. We need specific services efficiently. Are these employees evaluated on a timely basis? One example, that's my issue. Niki chapter was in sanction for 6 or 7 years. Supposedly, there's an ASC program, or who is supposed to work with the chapter. Then 6-7 years. How long does it take to, get that out of sanction? I mean, that's one thing that we need to really get into is providing services at all levels, at all 110 chapters. The ASC, I don't know what. When Mr. Hale was in it, local empowerment, no. I don't know what happened there, but those are my issues. I like to make sure that is a workable solution for the chapters. And the other day I went to one of the planning meetings at one of the chapters, and 15 minutes is that a performance issue? I think so. But anyway, that was one of my issue on that one platform. Although before 24 council, like I said, there was 88 council. I know we do a lot of good things back there, so I can vouch for that. Of course, I know there's a lot of meetings that were changed, the processes. Other people complain about delegates not attending their chapter meetings, such as scheduling and committee members now be than any nomination council session. I'm concerned with that one, the process. Maybe not something needs to be done Atlagi that's a ebayatio. Leje kuja committee on it. I don't lay nabi nana. I don't lay council je. I don't know because I haven't been in there for 20 something years. I want to look into that and make sure it's a workable solution. Nana, Navajo language. We need to get our kids to learn. I see there's an issue with that. Chapter meeting that I have a sister that doesn't speak Navajo. I mean, doesn't speak English, and she always says, of course, she don't go over there and to listen. She just goes over there. I don't know. Of course, what other needs to be a something needs to happen there. And the other they only speak English. What about grandma back there? But then they're so disrespectful, I think. Halit is twisani that is leon do nek ashia that just keep that all late. Ako. A language something needs to happen there. And then as far as chapter projects, chapter officials, easy. So I will work with the chapter officials on my chapters, the ones that I'm going to represent. I will work with them. Those are my
So, okay, thank you very much. So, you're basically saying you want to have accountability, um, and also your second is water issues, land, and also performance management, and then which is basically looking at all aspects of government to make sure that we have better customer service and that we take care of the Navajo people. Okay, Joey Hotoe, that's your platform. So what I'm gonna ko e hoto he had lan hoto na kha nin el do hoto even even na shi shwato the no ko ishi ko the nashi pasalado le do ko e khito e chuti da to le no. So one of the things that I want to get into is the question and answers aspect of this interview. Nasi karen le 1 hour do which and I haven't even got to any of the questions. I'm going to go back to your previous experience. What do you consider to be your greatest accomplishment when you were a council delegate in the previous administration?
What was my greatest accomplishments? I can't hear you.
Yes, that was what do you in those terms, what do you believe to be your greatest accomplishment? I thought
Okay. Yes, our greatest accomplishments were like I said, I used to sit on budget and finance with Ajin and Shadelia. So our greatest one was we went and trust fund Sigia, a veterans do Chinado Kudosani, a bashed and Tahatnil. Although we did the that was with Mr. Peterson's aja basaki permanent trust fund do aja set up a YILA. It's a shade all lagis so it all Nashi already that's she asked in Delila. But our greatest one was just doing those trusts trust funds. Hopefully it's grown traditionally. That was our greatest accomplishment. Though I saw that I was with these other committee members. The investment that on the sheet because that need whole geez la daily I don't have the figures, but it was over a lot of money when we left.
Oh, okay. So you were part of that administration when Peterson Zaw established the
Oh,
trust fund.
oh,
So, your last term, according to what you just said, was 2000 was when you started
my Indian.
and or ending.
Yeah.
That's 26 years ago.
Oh,
So why are you running again after such a long break?
like I said, people they know what you did. The cliche, actually, my own chapters. I've been approached by members of the committee, not the committee, but committee members, and she yeah, beso yeah, she yeah, yita saho. Just I went and I auditioned because I was sitting there and we did the senior center. We helped with the chapter without Peterson's others. Nana we did the multi-purpose buildings. Ito jo ipeso ka she's at us nilo joy ado Chavez nado my brother went niya ako ajo peso from the hasjai and be Italia so kodat kishin then there's really no projects or anything that was coming up with the last 26 years. Although in Indian Welsh we started the school, we built a public school. Although we meeting, my staff. Although in lay became Khadid Ashami and one of my staff could she's through Arizona some board facilities board Japan could although like getting the art art clearance and all the clearances that were done and also Landa Island and I have the documents to prove that that was done under my administration. A senior citizen do at Habatasil Indian Welsh Junda at then although fire station do that's the reason why people see that and that's why they asked me to run again.
Okay. So yeah, that's pretty profound. Joe, I mean, it's 26 years later. But of course, I guess that really translates to if the community comes forward and says, Shohei, has no, of course, we do care about our people. Now, I want to go into topic number one because you brought it up, and one of the things that you said was you were involved with veterans when you were with the National Housing Management. It's either an organization or a certification. So we're going to talk about veterans right now. Dita, I've said this so many times. The Navajo Nation government doesn't have an armed forces. So all of our current veterans and also the active duty right now, they're essentially working for the United States government. So, but there was a big problem. Khayla bikadays eat dodley, to khayla baka another what dodley. Joy hut or night the kid. A call Hayshay Nedon or Ashadi Hay Basala is it the United States government or Navajo Nation?
Well, jo ho'eya kodo ashike eninda kodo eya bitisni to into the wars or either into the military. Akoko shin son eya jo government jolingi ho'e yisi eya benjilin stonte Junta go equate o Navajo Nation, which hunjit la a conta o dakhe. Shitanda he used to be he was a veteran and so it's really, to me, the responsibility belongs to the United States government. It seems like every administration they say we're going to build this and that. Although the based on the but it hasn't happened. There is money for them in the government, but there's so many red tape on that one too. Although they have to pay for it. So actually not that because some of them are saying Shukudona is Shlani Benya hon saya Judane. Kushiani ani a cow wouldn't they? Tell you a story, since I don't work for NHA anymore. Kushina Khalidan sto a kubet notes lot so Binti Wabada dos Nisha no we Bandil Nisha Echo a housing ownership home ownership to a badagest and then whatever is left a binti oda bidotoni by NHA board. Juliana somehow some just got it what that yeah every little hole they try to block it. Ko ebini na ko de beso na that khashedo nishta no ni na that we were told to give them the letters. We gave them the letters. This is a true story. We gave them the letters, and then we were told that they were now homeowner. Kushen balance we were told just to give it to them. We did. We gave them letters. We cried for them. And then later, I don't know how long after that, we were told that was wrong. So we told him, we were told to put him back on the payment. That was so sad. And that was so, I don't know, it was really sad. They kept indulging there. I was like, oh yeah, that's Shana. So what's up? That was from the board, NHA board. Other betganas need the I mean other but they didn't get the house free. They had to pay it off, even though there was like $10,000 deduction or something like that. But they still had to pay it off.
Yeah.
It's
Well, no doubt those are some of the issues that I think most of us are aware as well. There's all sorts of dysfunction, disparities
oh
that, but my question is, ne ar tahnan tago, chutid atan spehozin.
oh
What are you going to do to, what's the solution? What answers are you going to bring to that problem?
well, there needs to Joe, the president's linky Hoshi Joe Abel the show a put the way Washington go Jado Gosh or Jado Ka. Hide on Hashe Dide, you're the one that put these individuals put a Lego Pedasiosni harm's way. Ako Adrian ni Kan lead Ado Binti who one bad net or give us some funding. Put a Shabantis case though. I mean, I don't know how much, I don't have the statistics, but how much money they get from there. But DA, we need it. I would really support that one.
Which is, I mean, there are really specific solutions. I mean, you're my 32nd interview, and some of these people,
Oh, do a oversight, the vision, adeko with the presidential president ileidishin, with a adeko nasidente, adon she kodo a, we're gonna either approve it or disapprove it. I will support anything that goes for the veterans. The snow, of coco. The process is where the president's the staff do audibly in that Nishigi, and that's where you need the coordination. Jiko jo bisnanisho. Of course, ishi had plan daily. Nishikodo o the larger native was change or it's basanatli. So I would sponsor legislation if I have to. So to a go with that.
You don't think that a health facility is needed on the Navajo Nation for veterans?
Yes, I do. For so many years, certain political candidates. Oh, no, there needs to be a facility that serves our veterans. Which yesterday, one of the people from IHS's 638 public information officer was saying that they're going to start treating veterans. I think he said at Delcon and also at another area. That's a base bandit. So, which I think is good. They don't have to go through these cities to get treatment. And I understand even the Veterans Administration is not, they're also in a mess with treating veterans. e panjando.
So I quoted the notion
Well, first you gotta have a plan. You have to have a plan that says this is what we're gonna do. Start small, maybe get a building, and then start some conversation with, like I said, with the presidents, division directors, or whoever is going to be there. So, but you got to have some money to start up. Maybe contact the state legislatures. No, it's not going to happen.
So did you say that ultimately the responsibility falls back on the United States rather than the Navajo Nation?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, I guess, the thing is that I just have to continue to pursue. It's one thing, yes, it's somebody's responsibility, but then again, how do we bring that connection so that the veterans, how do we bring that money source to them? How does that, how would you influence that once you get back onto council if you're elected?
Okay. Well, like I said, you have to contact your local, and then the regional, and then the Washington level Congress person, because that's who we're going to be voting for again. And adeko all these collaboration and coordination. You have to have a site. I don't know if they do currently. Like I said, trust fund maybe that needs to happen to get it going. When you go to Washington, and you need to have some kind of plan together.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for addressing those. Now, the veterans, called Western medicine, either through Western or either through healthcare, just general healthcare, well-being, like any physical ailments, they would get medical treatment. Ako how much of the traditional services would you support, or at all?
Joe, are you talking about veterans?
Yeah. Yes, we're still talking about veterans.
Okay. They go through all these traumas, PSD or PSTP or something. Western medicine, pills that they know which one to give to them if they have these problems. But Nick, like I said, so he used to get a lot of he was a renowned medicine person. So I would support it, like maybe 75%. That how strong I am with my our traditional ways. Ko e aja
Okay.
ko
Okay. Hakushi, Johut Ela Aro Ahune Night Ikido Leki A Dida Jo A Night is Nildo Winrock Nanin Zago. Jo A the Kugushi case in the 638 Dean.
Oh,
The Kugushi Betlahas. Of course, 638 as I'm learning during these interviews that it encompasses such a wide field of 638. But I don't know if conceptually and legislatively and law wise, if the basic concept of self determination is still being implemented. Joey Quagit, are you do jo ba hunits and do jo heda jo United Kita? Ako jo 638 biti ninigi. The first one that I wanna talk about is healthcare. Ako today what is your position on the 638?
okay. Okay, last night oh, what I don't need that no net DJ she we'll have to run this and the other sound issues a better housing a we're not really getting the treatment or the care that we're supposed to be getting. Meeting she all these CEOs, they get big salaries. I was listening to one of the ladies on your podcast the other day, and she was saying CEO was getting like 200,000 salary, 200,000. No. So I mean that's too extravagant. Of course, so that's the part that I mean that's I'm against that because of that reason. I mean, other doctors though, it's common knowledge that these things are going on. Yeah, then any cotton generic stuff. That's what we get. Well, because with other she staff the ones that were in that get job, but the ningi a she answered and so for that reason I don't agree with it because anybody that's in that board situation or no eso how do you say it? They just give it to their buddies or whoever they want to support. So what about concern? That's what I know, and I've been told that that's what happened with our local center over at Delcon. So for that reason, I think it's not good the way it was intended for.
So the opposite side of the coin of 638 concept is the Indian Health Service IHS. So are you maybe suggesting because you don't support the 638 concept that everything should revert back to IHS?
Well, there's it depends on, like I said, it'll be good if they do whatever they're supposed to do. And then on the other hand, I forgot to mention that the board on Lingia, I know that's been going on for a long time. They're just an advisory committee. So and the same way with IHS the board, they have a board, but it's just advisory. So that would be um, way better than just reverting back to board gate it or CEO dan lingit or kid not cut. That's how it's done. Maybe we need to go revisit that. Make it more like a vetting process. Date or chapter do ado yena DJ dido later no. I know for a fact that's what goes on. So that would be my answer. So instead of reverting back to IHS, which is I know that's just getting the government off the hook, but and then is 638 has lane. So that's my answer. I know it's kind of wishy-washy, but that needs to get visited. Yeah, you can go back to IHS.
Okay. Just like you've mentioned, right now there's overbilling. Even though whatever the mechanism that these 638 hospitals are utilizing, it ultimately comes down to third party billing, and that's where the breakdown happens. If all sorts of if these doctors and these boards of these 638s could initially emphasize the importance of regulation and oversight, certainly these things wouldn't happen. But, it still is a problem. Now, between the 638s and the Navajo Nation, there's a parallel. And it's a very weak parallel. What would you do to be able to strengthen the connection? Because these 638 have to be on Native American lands. How would you strengthen that weak parallel between 638 and the Navajo Nation government?
Well, there's your oversight committee, like myself, anybody. We have no knowledge of being as far as medical field. And I can speak for most of the committee. They're not doctors. So I think what I'm thinking is maybe we need a professional medical doctor, or either someone that would oversee these 638 clinics or hospital. It is, that's it. Ayat etole. Otherwise, we as I don't know who's all involved, but they have no medical knowledge. And because we don't know the medical stuff. So that would be my answer to maybe controlling some of those malfeasance or whatever they do.
Okay. Yeah. I think, it's so imperative that we fully understand, especially for people who are running for the Navajo Nation government, Shado Schwatlande. Shado A, I'm not in any of these situation, but nonetheless, I'm a member of the Navajo Nation population. So what happens in Western Fort Defiance Central, those are my people. Ako di de kwere a large, but o da na so tanegi. But on hinil on it's at even a little bit of this and that. I might not be in a governmental role, but I understand the lacks. I understand the problems. Ako korojo lwosko deino chiko o betago o hote hot o a joslaba hosen ako ebony nachiko did night kidigi 638. What other 638s are there besides healthcare?
I believe that there is education, although police police department, and then various tribal programs. They get monies through 638. I remember that. So and then most of the time, I tell you this, they had to send money back, especially the tribal programs. No, it doesn't. Then we end up sending money back because we didn't use some of that.
Right. So if you see that problem, if you get back in, what are you going to do to solve that problem?
Well, like I said, we need some kind of management tool, like performance. So the directors. So we need to somehow maybe do a quarterly evaluation to see where the money is. That needs to happen. And some of that stuff we used to do, we did with Navajo Housing Authority. We used to have like quarterly reports. This is how much you meant to spend, but no. But I don't know if there is something like that with the Navajo Nation, especially with the 638 program. Of course, like police, people always complain that there's no police. And same way with the education committee or education programs. So that's what I would do, is make that a policy where it has to be done on a quarterly basis or something to alleviate that money going back.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing right now is that technically the boards of each of these 638, if they're organized in such a way that they require a board, a president of the board, and the CEO, but some of the, like the police department, my understanding is that it's not structured that way. So there's no board. If you don't have a board, they don't fulfill the basics, which is an oversight responsibility. Like, let's take the 638s. Right now, this is what I'm talking about when I say the weak link between the Navajo Nation and the 638 is this oversight. The only oversight right now, what I've heard of, is that the board itself, but that's not enough. It's not working. So number two is in reference to the Navajo Nation government, it's HESI. But HESI is comprised of non-medical doctors. So how are they able to, the question obviously is, how are they able to navigate through all of this if they don't have medical expertise? So, you know, there's got to be something else. What would you recommend? De tahan tao ne kat ko de khit oi ban sin case kwa na ho ti khai shen oi de hot oi bo ti ash.
Okay. Well, it has to do with monies. Okay. So there needs to be some kind of, if nobody's, watching over that money, it has to be like maybe the controller's office or somebody wherever the money follows. Are they really tracking those funds? This performance that where it will tie in. Under the controller's office or whoever is heading the control of money. That way you could, see whose money is still sitting there or who's wasting money. That's what I'm saying. That's what I would look into.
Yeah. Would you consider an organization? Because right now you think that the Division of Health would also be in the picture. But
Uh-huh.
everyone I've talked to, I've never heard anybody say that, well, we got the 638 healthcare and all of a sudden they jump right to HESI. Where there's a disconnect. Why do we have the Division of Health? Are they somehow, what kind of interface with your experience? Because because you say you served 2 terms. What's
Yeah.
the interface between the Division of Health and the 638 programs?
Oh, let me see. I don't recall how that. Well, at that time we had several oversight. Yeah, we still had health, but we they were separate, so they had a lot of more time to look at all that um, problem that they had with um, with these health programs. But for now, HESI, it's overload. So I would also recommend that something else happens, like I said, with the maybe the oversight with this health thing, with the medical trained person to head that program.
Yeah.
Be within
Okay.
the
Okay.
health.
Yeah, fair enough. Um, let's talk about schools and universities. The universities or the colleges on the Navajo Nation, we have 2 of them, NTU, and then we have the Neck College. These are under the auspices of the Navajo Nation government. They're independent, but they're an institution. And so both of them, I believe, are now accredited uh, for higher learning. But, we're still having issues. In a lot of cases, we're talking about it always comes down to money. Um, right now, the way that the Navajo Nation is set up is that, yes, all these elected leaders, scholarship, UNM, ASU, U of U, UNM, بتاع إلني نهلن أكو كوي يال واليجي ناغا. There's money that's involved. If we spend these scholarships to these other universities, there's absolutely zero benefit to the Navajo Nation. Our best brains, we're sending them off to reservation. Like, actually, Harvard, I've heard that. The Ivy League. Ako, di nihi university or college, yeah. Peso. If we give scholarships only, I mean, this might be a far-fetched theory, but if we gave scholarships only to the Navajo-owned universities, we can have our money going in. The money stays within the Navajo Nation. We are able to go out and hire the best professors. We have now enough money circulated within the Navajo Nation government. Would you continue to send students off the Navajo Nation if you were re-elected?
Well, there's there individual Navajos. There are children. Although so I would still support those individuals that go off, as well as the one that's here, within the reservation. That's the best way to handle it, I would think. So the CIP that identifies us, so we cannot, discriminate against our own children, our own people.
How do you bring discrimination into this conversation?
I mean, if we say no to somebody, that's what they're going to say. You're discriminating against me because I'm going to Harvard or wherever else that they go. That's my stance on that. We still have to support them.
Well, I don't think that, I'm not saying that we should take free will from our people, but this is our money.
Yes.
This is our money. And if we're going to go out there and tell our children to go to school, wouldn't it be best to tell them to go on the reservation schools? And that way the money stays here. They're staying home. But a lot of them say, yeah, because I want to go off reservation because well, we're not here to fund somebody's vacation. I'm not saying that all of them. I know some of them are very serious about this, but they do make it come true that they come home. But I'm talking about the money tracking. If we send it to University of Utah, it goes to the university. The kid stays up here, their housing, their school, their education for 4 years if they're provided scholarship. The money doesn't return to the Navajo Nation. And most likely, once they get a degree, they're going to stay here or stay in Salt Lake City, Utah. So we're losing talent. What do you think about that?
I still say that I would support, our children that goes wherever they go. We're always doing that anyways with other funding. It goes elsewhere, like contracting, like this guy that we contracted in Utah. That money wasn't going to stay here. So what's the difference? So that's what I would say is just, if they earn that that type of scholarship or whatever they earn in their schools, then I would support it. I still would support it.
What guy in Utah are you talking about?
Oh, I'm talking about what's his name? The 24 million.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, Robert Worsley.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go and shift over. Because right now, staying with schools,
Uh,
Right now, we have charter school, we have BIAE, we have Johnson O'Malley. Uh, I don't know how many different schools there are, but the 638, there's also 638 schools. Now, shouldn't it be one single method of teaching on the Navajo Nation instead of having so many different structures of schools? What would you say about that?
I would have to look at it and see what the difference are. I would really look at it because right now I don't know.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Across the board,
Uh,
and there's no pun intended, the board, I want to talk about boards.
okay.
Boards for the 638 facilities, boards for the 638 schools, boards for the Navajo Nation owned enterprises. You know, we have a board issue. Some people are literally taking advantage of being on boards. They get paid, they get their stipends, they um, what would you say to resolve this issue? I'm not saying that all of them are not qualified. Some of them are qualified, but majority of them are not. They're in there just only as a job. Philosophically, they might not even care. But the idea is that it's true. It's absolutely true. I've heard it too many times. So our elected leaders are
Well, the boards, I know, I think the council passed the resolution not too long ago, or maybe, I don't remember how long ago, but they didn't want any council delegates sitting on boards. So that kicks them out. But all the other boards, so I would, I think it's under legislative branch. We should, and we would put something in place to vet these board members. Actually, you know, it's their individual communities, but if people are getting out of hand, you know, something needs to, you know, be put in place to vet what's going on. I mean, to vet the members, what's their credentials and all that. As far as being a board member.
I would thought that your answer would have included your performance management, customer service.
Yeah, that too.
Okay, that's a good answer. Um, so now let's transition over to, because these are all kind of linked together. The Navajo Nation Enterprises, conceptually, it was a good idea of its time, but today, in terms of surplus and deficit, I believe that there's a problem. I mean, some of them are not generating enough money to be self-sustaining, so they come to the council. Give us some more funding. No. And the same thing happens to the Navajo Nation Fair. Are these things that the Navajo Nation should continue to throw money at? Why are these enterprises, some of them, I'm not talking about all of them. What's your idea on these enterprises?
Well, you have to look at it and see which one is losing money or not making any money and not coming back to the, you know, some of those enterprises, they usually give money back to not education, but scholarships and all that. I'm not sure how many are out there. They are also, some of them are outdated. And with the fairs, yeah, um, I would support the fairs because that's the only thing that they, you know, get for like during the year. They, the entertainment is what it is, and I would support the rodeos, the fairs, because that's what makes the community, function.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
and,
served 2 terms as a
oh,
council delegate.
oh,
You're looking for your third term. My question is, what are what is the now what's classification of these enterprises?
what classification? I forget what it was. Is she under the
Well, I don't know if I use the right word classification, but
uh,
what are what is these enterprises? Bidi iha ish asli na?
well, apparently I'm not um to they should base upon that although they were hoping to make go, it's just like a business for them, but it didn't it didn't do what it's supposed to do. So they lost money and they kept going. And although they used to come in and they used to ask for money, all that money. And some we didn't fund, some we did. But as far as majority of it, we didn't fund all of them. So it is although they come in and then the community also supports them. So otherwise, most of them we didn't support.
Name
Fairs,
3 Navajo Nation enterprises. Name 3 Navajo Nation enterprises.
okay, there's Naka, and which was the other one? N2A Gaming, and that's three.
That's 3.
Yeah.
Now, one that's pretty common, everybody knows, is the
Africa.
Navajo Gaming. I've never heard them contributing to. In fact, they're always. I think post COVID, they were asking for funding. I don't know where exactly they stand at, but that to me is. What's your thoughts on that?
It's true, and most of the time, people lose money, especially during the first of the month. And that's another one that people are used to it now. That's where they go for entertainment. What else do we have? Nothing. So I would I would I would look at it twice before I put in any more funds. Haisha, Benyet. I mean, you see all kinds of people there. Belacanas, truckers, anybody. But where does that money go? Adona nishto, like service, yeah, it's not good. Customer service is not there. I've been there. That's why I'm saying that.
Hmm.
So I would look at it twice, especially into a NTUA, I'm going to talk about because like we asked for water lines. I always had that problem, and we asked for water lines. I mean, we do water lines for them. Where let's say there's a water line that goes into the homes, and then what do we get back? So ade on sanis tui o rates o te case needing more money. I mean, where's our benefit? We don't get seniors don't get anything. Just 10%. What's 10% out of $20? It's like $2. So and then how is it gonna? We talk about water all the time, but we don't talk about what we put into those enterprises.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the NTUA's got a monopoly. There's no competition,
Yeah.
and when they set a rate, they set that rate. When they set their schedule, that's their schedule, and that's it's a big problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think they're probably the most successful because everybody uses electricity, everybody uses water, and so um, but they do have a monopoly, and that's a problem. Have any elsewhere to go? We can't go to APS or you know other power grids for us to have competition. So, but the rest, iba, nahatinigi, when the original concept of these enterprises and they on that like I said, it was a good idea. But now there's a train of thought out here. Maybe they're not a good idea. Well, there must be something that must be done about these enterprises because you know. So let me ask you, from your understanding of these Navajo owned enterprises, what was the original concept of these enterprises?
Original concept. Well, that was for the one that went defunct was the sawmill. Trying to get on. It went under at Navajo.
NFPI?
Oh, NFPI, yeah. So that's the only one I know of that went under, and then because of the environmental issues, trying to stop with the EULA. But that purpose was to bring in lumber. That was before my time, but that's what I heard. But they were still coming in for money all the way to the end. But that was taken care of by another what do you call it? Federal regulations.
Yeah.
Um,
The I think one of them was the spotted eagle or
yeah,
spotted owl. Yeah.
yeah.
Now, you know, it, on another tribally owned entities are these ranches. The Quisha yet, I'm not asking about specific numbers, but the land was purchased
Hmm.
in the ranches.
Yeah,
And
that's what.
yeah,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
what was it for? Why were they purchased?
Okay. The ones I was talking about were for now when relocation happened, people that were supposed to move out of HPL, which is Hopi land, Hopi partition land. Um, when they had animals there, they were supposed to use those ranches, to put some of their animals there. And then also to reestablish their home sites, which like Newlands, it's other than that, it didn't. I don't. Like I said, I don't know what happened to them. I'd like to know. That was the purpose.
During your two terms, that's when some of these ranches were bought. Right about at the beginning of your first term, 1989, Ibn Nassah's Big Bow Kia's Ranch.
Oh, yeah, that was before my time, but yeah, that was one of them. I think they're still using that. The ranchers from that side, they're still using it. Last time I heard,
But
it's
ultimately, in either cases, and on all the ranches,
oh,
theoretically speaking, you would think the Navajo people should have access because the base nikipesachos in yen karido ajido do e adido e chudi in ada.
exactly.
There's something wrong. How do
Yes.
you view that theory?
Well, I would look into it and look at their how much it's making. Let's say if there was ranchers out there, what they're paying, and if they're not paying, I don't see why we're not. If somebody wants to get out there and live out there, they probably have to do a home site just like we do here, home site leases. That's what it was intended for. But it's way out there, past Seligman, and I don't know if anybody wants to do that. Joy, none of that stuff. People say things, but they don't. Really, when things come to show, they don't. They don't come through. We like to complain about stuff, but we don't like it doesn't happen. So that's my
Yeah, I mean, I like that idea where you're suggesting that we should possibly get home site lease. I want to be the first one in line for Wolf Spring Ranch.
okay. Yeah.
So,
So
yeah,
that's
but then again, most of these I don't think are making any money, and there's no benefit, in my opinion, to the Navajo people. So why do we own these ranches?
that's my question as well, because I like to, with very little livestock left in our area, I mean, they should be able to use it. I mean, I'm sure there's no, vegetation is bad as well, but and provide something with those lands. Although and with everything going up, gas and everything, a lot of people can't afford it, especially people with back home Navajo Hopi land issues. Good abo.
Okay. Let's go on to the next topic. I appreciate you addressing those because the night we know the problems. Obviously, that's why I'm bringing these up. Now, what we're looking for is for you to provide solutions of how we can address these issues. So the next thing on my question is, you know the situation, you know what happened, you know where it started, and you were just right there on the cusp of the 1989 incident. So my question to you is, right now, Doya Choho Eagle Bansilte, Window Rock, the Office of the President, and the Nomination Council, Odene hita hita gato ha dishin Odnenta hil sadoka. You're listening to budget and finance hearings. There's a problem. We're sick of it. We want to put some leaders in there that can have common sense. There's a difference between the principle of the law versus the letter of the law. And that constitutes the ability to navigate life and governance based on common sense. Right now, I don't think anybody has common sense. I think the application of the letter of the law is being applied. And that's how ridiculous that we think this government has gotten. How would you resolve this problem?
Wow. I listened to some of it. From what I'm hearing is when it started, I listened to the what's his name? Controller. Maybe it was the day two. And why didn't they do anything back then? Like I said at the beginning, your behavior is what counts. You see, it's. I know, that they're all scholars or what have you. How do you say it? You're like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna win dozens of that. What another? It's neither on us day. I would, like I said, it was different. So, there's, we would tell each other's, stop it, or, joya, I think it's beyond that. Is there something that we could do, like maybe peace talk, peacing, like fundamental law. Ada, halit ejo, elchingat ko jo si bang ajigo, the baka, a koshihat I would recommend that we, let's say it's happening now, I would recommend that we all, cease debate until we do something about what's happening. And hopefully somebody, second my motion or something to allow us to do some soul searching. It only the camera has the liebe nach. No. Where is it leading? It's leading nowhere. That's how I see it. But why? It's the ego tripping. That's what it is. And what do you do to fix that?
Okay.
So,
we see what you're saying, but I think we're asking the how to. You think that the situation is really fundamentally when it goes down to our laws that are now they're just in a temporary status, or do you think that that's what might it be? Is it just the fundamental laws?
I don't know how I would fix it. I mean, like, it's a sad situation right now, and it's up to the individuals that are doing this. Like I said, maybe we need to get rid of all of them. That's the only way it'll fix. But if it starts again, then that would be another story where you would, you know, get the council together and see, because I'll probably be, if I get in there, and I would be the older person. So actually I need to have the reasons for saying that, but they knew about it, but why wasn't that done? Makes no sense. That's what I mean. It needs counseling, some type of intervention.
Well, what I'm getting at is really you should know exactly what's needed here. Absolutely. Late 1989, yeah, duh. Excuse me. You and I know a person, Leonard Haskell, Irvin Billy, and Milton Bluehouse, Joe Shirley, Ben Shelley, David Sosi. These are the 49ers. They got together. They put together this 3-branch government, giving the Nation Council the full power so they can oust the then chairman, Peter MacDonald. There was nothing that was ever finished. So we're living on a temporary government. So I'm trying to have you address Title II.
Mm-hmm.
Title II still says that it's a temporary government. Yeah, it talks about responsibilities and outline what the responsibilities are. But there's one office, and I'm not going to tell you what office that was established as a result of Title II and the incident of 1989. What is that office called?
I wasn't there. So would it be government reform office?
I don't know. I'm asking you. Actually, I do know what it is, but this is your question.
I wasn't there then, so I'm not sure what office was created.
That office is still existing today. So it started right when you started, and it's still here.
Okay,
And that's 36 years ago. Yeah, you named it pretty good. I'll just get to the point, and that is the Office of Government Development.
Oh, government development, yeah.
What is their purpose?
They were supposed to work on finishing the 3-branch government, how it's supposed to work. But like I said earlier too, that no one ever did anything as far as they always complained the governing body, and it's still there on the books. So still haven't done it. Now maybe that's the way to go about it. So, I'm not sure if people would vote for that. I'm not sure. Is it? I'm not sure if it's even on the referendum.
Uh,
Yeah, I have no
yeah.
idea.
Okay.
So they had some good stuff in there, but I'm not sure if that's going to go on referendum this year.
Do you agree with the Office of Government Development?
Oh, what I've heard, there's a lot of good stuff in there, but of course they're not. They're out there explaining it, but all English is a on a. What about grandmas, grandpas? You know, after snilt och
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to the last topic, which is economic development. Ta shi na hoto. Shi stage ha shi da zi schasko. Economic development no ha shi. Ha is all yet no. Na nishan chart no na ha now. Nehedon oh is athlete economic development.
Well, economic development in my what I understand is when you like in your community across the reservation, 110 chapters, is to provide economic growth is when you provide like jobs and infrastructures for the community to survive. So whether it's job or either infrastructures, water, and anything that has to do with sustainability.
So what really contributes to economic development? Is it the big box stores? Is it the Navajo people? Is it the enterprises? Which one of those would you consider to be a part of the big picture economic development?
Well, it could be small business, community, people, and I'm not sure about the big box. I mean, that costs money. So it's really something to do with bringing in something for the people in the community, like schools, housing, sustainability. That's what your community would need.
I'm just curious. You brought up housing. How does housing parallel to economic development?
Well, that one, if you have housing, then there's people there and there's schools. Although, you got community going. So small business, like stores and stuff like that.
So if you were involved with, of course, you're going to make legislation. You're going to support the entire growth of the Navajo Nation. I think in that narrative, in that conversation, there's got to be the words economic development. But right now, it's not happening. And right now, I've always said, Everybody who's running, or most of the people that are running, they don't have any business experience, and neither do they have any type of business related schooling. And that's a problem. So bad no aro para ishi kako kashe to idide economic development bandage do economic development bandage. So if you should get elected, what would you support and what was your ideology to be able to bring economic development to the Navajo Nation across the board?
Across the board, yeah, I would probably support the small businesses. Like right now, I'm hearing people that it's really hard to start these small businesses for anyone. So I would look at the processes with what we have, meeting the nation. Asha nido do jin hotida. Jo konda I would look into that and see what we can do to promote the most of the small business, whoever wants to start some businesses. Is it really like that, or is it just people don't want to go through that whole paperwork or whatever they need to do? And that's what I would do.
Okay. What is the act that addresses economic development? What's the act
Um,
of the Navajo Nation?
Economic Opportunity Act. Is that, or is it some other opportunity something? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, these are important. Jo eden andersson chart no it's then
Oh.
later jo tid at say salagi jo ed ako e hot o in jono ko ti o lia aro hit o in le hot o I bi chako ho gato le neni step by step yi case in the aro hit o in le the Navajo Nation cho yo indo le aro it gives the entire formula. Now it's been amended and also it's been strengthened with the Procurement Act. So, ADN kat konta nade jay is olia, or better husband, or the
Mhm.
horsepower no she hate or based on the chart, no, by a just kit or less. So, what all in the ideal kit.
Mhm.
Okay, this single act of the Navajo Nation is a critical piece. It's called the Navajo Business Opportunity Act. Now, that's been there, I believe, way before I even started my business. And it's before that you got into your first term. So now let's talk about enforcement. You look at Zenny Home, what happened? If Zenny Home, I always say, if the Navajo Business Opportunity Act was followed, Zenny Home situation would have never happened. So to curb that screw up in the future, how would you enforce the Navajo Business Opportunity Act?
Well, you have to. I believe the economic development is the main office that handles that. I would maybe they would have to go through that whole process and like um, lead engineer, make sure it goes through the right people, and like I said, I'm not sure about what the processes are on that.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, well, let's, that's something for you to engage and catch up
Yeah.
on. So the last is going to be your closing comment, but I want to just identify who we are. This is Politics on the Navajo Nation podcast, and I'm your host, Cal Nez. Our guest tonight is EULA YAZZIE. She's seeking her third term for the Office of Counsel from Delcon, Teastow, White Cone, Low Mountain, and Indian Wells. This is one of your candidates that's running. And so, this is what my experiences are. Video ni do here lan but all in nda isunulsi hunahita ila jo the Navajo Nation government again hiata etla auto bada CO tila sto a here lan hit schnido late. So I'd like to turn the time over to Miss EULA YAZZIE for her closing comment.
Thank you, Mr. Nez, for allowing me to take part in this interview. Delcon, Teastow, White Cone, Low Mountain, and Indian Wells, the Keot in Gishik A. Yachts is go kitchen da silne. Do biget or tranching sa, ado Shehanasen. Anyway, it's all that it all in a shatishno in question. A cocoa and Luya, Teastow, Delcon, White Cone, Low Mountain, jo do Indian Wells. She gave a long aunt and Indian Wells, shade and Lingi Cat and Nana White Cone, Shima, Ado Shanalita, Akedat, and Nana Teastow, do Cheyenne, Cat in that door. Several of them. Shima Sunny Kadash, Delcon, Jay Shaw, the other ish cat. Coco Codoni Jahasti, do yat elshing ea, Tasinats and then do ea, need age, ea, nature has Island, but I will do my best. That's all you can do. I don't wait, Delcon, do Teastow, that's also the home of the great champions, Ado barrel racing, team ropers, the Kagi, the White Cone as well. Don't Low Mountain, they got in the Yashi, the Abagan, that Marcus Caniho, Jolly, the Bachin, at the Kedat, a cocoa, Adeki. Stock at Hapenanit, Uncle Arnold's got Ecuador, here, Kidini, Dolly store. July 21st, gonna age a niche, gonna a shot of us. Abens target Ashi Benny Kanadish was a cocoa, could I, niche at this door here. Do Mr. Nez and do here. Thank you very much.
Gushila Nala, Kuroin Hayaho, Eto, Jonsa or the Wasto, Arashidi, Kedo, Jo, Idishkosh. So, all you listeners, thank you for joining us and have a wonderful rest of your day. And we'll talk to you tomorrow night. There's going to be another interview. There's going to be another interview after that. So keep joining us. Stay on this channel. So you're listening to Politics on the Navajo Nation podcast series. Your host, Cal Nez. We're signing off. How going at?